Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley Harwood. I'm one of the counselors here in the Counseling and Wellness Office. And today we're going to be going over the sixth webinar in the series on creating healthy academic habits. And today we're going to be talking about how to combat perfectionism. So in this series, we've covered 7 different topics here. So this week we'll be looking at combating perfectionism, and then next time will be our final webinar on building positive self-talk. So are you a perfectionist? Many people have traits of perfectionists and are even proud of them, but there are important differences between perfectionists and high achievers, and being a high achiever is far better for your health and happiness. If you are a perfectionist, if you have perfectionistic tendencies, it's vital to find strategies to get past them and to move toward being a non-perfectionistic high achiever. Perfectionism can rob you of your peace of mind, enjoyment of life, and self-esteem. Though it's a process that may take a little time and practice, shedding the burden of perfectionism can greatly decrease the level of stress you may feel on a daily basis, especially as you navigate graduate school. So what is the difference between perfectionists and high achievers? Perfectionism differs from high achievement in one important way, where your focus lies. If you are striving for excellence, you can be happy about your achievements and learn from your mistakes. Perfectionism is different in that the focus is less forgiving. Perfectionists beat themselves up for anything that appears to be lacking, and this robs them of the satisfaction and pride that comes from all of the things that they do well. One of the most important and significant problems that perfectionists face is the fear that if they stop shooting for perfection, they will become low achievers and their goals will go by the wayside. Let this reassure you that letting go of perfectionist attitudes can actually help you excel more. Perfectionists actually achieve less than those with healthier attitudes because their focus on perfection robs them of motivation and can bring on procrastination and other self-defeating behaviors, which we'll look at in a few slides to go. So, more on perfectionism. Perfectionism is a harsh and brutal way to live. To be human is to have flaws. However, perfectionists have a hard time accepting their shortcomings. To compensate, they raise their bar of expectations to unattainable and unsustainable levels. They push themselves to the extreme and expect to score 100 on tasks that they deem important. Ironically, having such a narrow definition of success sets them up for their greatest fear, which is failure. Perfectionists are not merely disappointed when they fail to achieve a particular goal, they may experience shame because they define themselves as a complete failure. So this all or nothing thinking is associated with a host of emotional difficulties such as burnout, depression, and anxiety. So some of the maladaptive behaviors rooted in perfectionism, this could be anything from procrastinating to avoidance, excessive checking, reassurance seeking, overcompensating, repeating and correcting, excessive organizing and list making, difficulty making decisions, giving up too soon, not knowing when to stop, correcting, or failure to delegate tasks. So let's, talk about how to, work on combating the perfectionism. So there's a series of habits that we're going to go over. The first one is to make a cost-benefit analysis. Take a closer look at your perfectionistic traits. You may think you're more effective because of them, although according to research, this probably isn't true. But at what cost? Perfectionism has many negative consequences, and you may be experiencing several of them right now. Make a list of all the ways perfectionism is hurting you and those around you, and you'll be more motivated to shed these tendencies. The second habit is to become aware of your tendencies. So you may not realize how pervasive perfectionism can be. By becoming more aware of your patterns, you're in a better position to alter them. If you're able to, it's a great idea to record your perfectionistic thoughts as they pop up in your head. If it's impractical for you to jot thoughts down as they come, it's a great idea to just go over them each night and remember the times when you felt you failed, you hadn't done well enough, and to write down what you thought at the time. This will help you become more aware of your perfectionistic thoughts as they come to you in the future. You can even journal about your feelings and about your thoughts, but don't feel like you failed if you don't have the time to do this extra step. So the third habit here is to strive for good enough. Consider grades, for example. Getting an A+ on everything may not be feasible. Obviously, setting high standards and striving to do our best can be a positive thing. So simply getting a C is not as simple as, well, simply getting a C. However, letting ourselves off the hook once in a while can contribute to overall sense of well-being, productivity, and time management. Imagine how much extra time you'd have if you allowed yourself to stop working on your assignment after an hour of good enough versus 3 hours of perfect. The fourth habit here is to focus on the positive. So if you're struggling with perfectionism, you probably have honed the skill of spotting mistakes in even the best work of others and of yourself. You may just naturally look for it and notice it above all other things. While this habit may be difficult to just stop, you can soften your tendency to notice the bad by making a conscious effort to notice all the good with your work and the achievements of others. If you notice something you don't like about yourself or your work, for example, look for 5 other qualities that you do like. This will balance out your critical focus and become a positive new habit. The fifth habit here is to shift your perspective. It can be helpful to think about certain tasks as works in progress rather than an end goal, which allows for more flexibility. Practice refining towards excellence rather than fixating on perfection. And in doing so, see trial and error as fundamental components of constant improvement. Notice that oftentimes it's important and healthy to simply say something you have done is sufficient, acceptable, satisfactory, or a step in the right direction, and to move on without ruminating over imperfections. The sixth habit here is to alter your self-talk. So those who wrestle with perfectionism tend to have a critical voice in their head telling them their work isn't good enough, they're not trying hard enough, and they're not good enough. If you're going to overcome perfectionism, you need to work on changing this little voice. Negative self-talk can perpetuate unhealthy behaviors and wreak havoc on your self-esteem. By altering your self-talk, you can go a long way toward enjoying life more and gaining an increased appreciation for yourself and your work. The seventh habit is to learn to prioritize. So naturally, some tasks are more pertinent to excel at than others, especially those that are directly related to your overall goals or your purpose in life. It makes sense to over-prepare for your final dissertation defense, which likely represent years of research work and far too many late nights. Give 100% on the tasks that are most important to you, and then reassure yourself that it's okay to put in less effort on the rest. Sometimes the goal is just to complete the task, not to make it perfect. The eighth habit here is to take baby steps. So perfectionists tend to set goals of unreasonable excellence with no learning curve. These goals tend to be unrealistic and cause problems by being so rigidly demanding and leaving little room for error. Instead, you can reduce a lot of stress by changing your goals. You don't have to sacrifice the end result, but if you set bite-sized goals for yourself and reward yourself when you achieve them, you'll tend to be more forgiving with mistakes. So for example, if you normally tackle the task of getting into better shape by working out 5 times a week, unfortunately, you may normally, tackle that by wanting to do that 5 times a week. But unfortunately, if you're not used to working out regularly, you may get quite sore from such a quick change and perhaps give up. But setting the goal to exercise once or twice in the first week and add an additional workout periodically until you've worked up to your goal, you will be more likely to reach your goal and enjoy more of the successes in the process. The ninth habit here is to enjoy the process. So you may be used to focusing on results and beating yourself up if your results are less than perfect. The previous suggestion, setting baby steps, can help you create more of an enjoyable process out of your striving. You can also enjoy the process by reaching a goal of reaching a goal by getting involved with a group that is also trying to achieve the same goal you're after, or journaling about how you feel and what you learn as you reach toward your goal. If you find you don't achieve perfection, you can then reflect back and see all that you've gained in just working toward a worthy goal, assessing and appreciating the gains you did make in the process. One important way to recover from perfectionism is to begin focusing more on the process rather than the goal, and or being so goal directed rather than just focusing on the goal itself, so being more process minded. The 10th habit here is to learn to handle criticism. So if you tend to look at criticism as an attack, redirect, or reacting defensively, an attitude change can help. Constructive criticism can give you important clues on how to improve your performance, make your less than perfect performances into useful stepping stones that lead to excellence. So if the criticism you're receiving is pointed or harsh, it's okay to remind others and yourself that mistakes are a great way to learn. And the last habit that we'll be going over to combat perfectionism is to redefine failure. So to avoid the pain of failure, perfectionists may avoid tasks that are too challenging. They may play it safe and work only on projects that are highly likely to be successfully completed. Paradoxically, this strategy stifles personal growth and prevents perfectionists from reaching their full potential. By playing it safe, they hold themselves back and fail to push themselves out of their comfort zone. Remember that failure is a universal human experience. It makes exceptions for no one, even successful people fail. So Thomas Edison, for example, the driving force behind innovations such as the light bulb and motion picture cameras, once said, "I have not failed, I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work." The question is not whether you will experience setbacks, how you will respond to them. When you experience setbacks, talk to yourself with kindness and understanding through self-compassion. After all, failure is an opportunity for learning and growth. And then this next slide is just a reminder to utilize the CUNY counseling and wellness services or your local mental health resources if you need them. You can reach out to counseling and wellness here at SBH via our webpage, and you can just email us there. And then this final slide is just to continue practicing positive affirmations. So this week we have, I set goals for myself and I can reach them. I will show kindness to others. I am special and unique. I can do anything I set my mind to. I am strong and capable. I can handle any challenge life throws at me, and my mistakes are part of the learning process.